Hello, everybody. It is the Popper J back with some more Pioneer deck tech content, and we are back with Pioneer Vampires, a vampire tribal list, hoping to use the Sorins and just really high value vampires to win the game. First off, we're kicking it off with Knight of the Ebon Legion, a 1 mana vampire knight, 1/2 with for 3 mana you can give it +3/+3 and gains death touch until end of turn. And at the beginning of your end step, if a player lost 4 more life this turn, put a +1 counter on Knight of the Ebon Legion. Knight of the Ebon Legion is pretty pricey right now for a 1 mana vampire due to the fact that it's seen pretty okay results in Standard. Asylum Visitor is also a really good card in the deck. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, if that player has no cards in hand, you draw a card and lose 1 life. It also has a madness cost. We most likely will not be using the madness cost at all unless we are Thoughtseized or have a discard effect on us. But it's a 2 mana 3/1 that will be a bob on everyone's turn if no one has cards in their hand. Cruel Celebrant, this is just a really good like aristocrat style card. A white and a black for a vampire that whenever it or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. The fact that we have 6 vampires in the deck also adds a little bit of reach with the card. It's 2 mana 1/2, but with all that extra life gain and life drain, it's going to do very well. Gifted Aetherborn. This is actually a fun card due to the fact that it's for 3 of them. They're about $2 each apparently, somewhere around there. A 2 mana 2/3 Death Touch and Lifelink Aetherborn Vampire. It's almost like a Vampire Nighthawk, which I don't think is legal in the format, but for 1 less mana and you don't get flying. It's very good. It will stop opponents that are very on the Stompy plan from even swinging in with you. It's really good against the burn matchup. It's very good. We've already seen how Vampire Nighthawk, how good it's ever been in Standard and wherever it's been. It's just really well. And then Legion Lieutenant. This is our lord. 2 mana 2/2 that buffs all of our vampires. With the fact that some of these have lifelink and some of them are already efficiently costed, this is going to help us get there and just start hitting them really hard. Sorin Imperious Bloodlord. So we're kind of running this as a value card. It isn't very likely that we're going to be able to want to neg 3 to start putting these only 2 mana vampires onto the battlefield. But the fact that we also have the ability to sacrifice vampires, which will trigger Cruel Celebrant and then deal damage to any target, so this can hit planeswalkers, the opponent, or their creatures, and target creature you control gains death touch and lifelink until end turn if it's a vampire, put a person's counter. This is just a really efficient card, and once it goes away, we do get the Cruel Celebrant triggers off the life gain and life drain. It's worth it. Also, there's Sorin Solemn Visitor. This is from Cons of Tarkir. It's even seen a little bit play in Modern, I believe. So it's a 4 mana walker that starts with 4 loyalty. Until the end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain lifelink. Against any aggro matchup, this deck just smashes aggro, I believe. I mean, well, with all these creatures that already have lifelink and that are efficiently costed and get in for a fair amount of damage, it's just really good. And it also can have a neg 2 that puts a 2/2 black vampire creature token onto the battlefield with flying if you are kind of behind on board and you need to put something in that can get in for damage. It's then neg 6 as you get an emblem with at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. That's a couple turns away, and if you can get that off, you are very likely to win the game at that point. But this is basically like another lord that gives your creatures lifelink and is kind of hard to kill. Fatal Push is just the best kill spell in the format for black. I mean, it's basically our Path to Exile or our Lightning Bolt. In this format, we don't have those, so this is arbitrarily the best kill spell in the format. With Revolt, it can kill creatures with converted mana cost 4 or less instead of a permanent you control. Yeah, it's just good. Thoughtseize, they jumped in price due to this format coming out. Thoughtseize is a 1 mana. It's the best 1 mana discard spell in the format. It can help tear your opponents apart. You do lose a little bit of life, but due to the fact that this deck gains so much life, you're not even going to care. And then there's Arterial Flow. For 3 mana, each opponent discards 2 cards. So this gets around Leyline of Sanctity because it's each opponent and not target opponent. If you control a vampire, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So if you have a vampire out and you're playing against another aggro matchup, you can get basically a 3-for-1 with this card. And then there's Legion's Landing. Because we only have 20 lands in the deck, we're going to want to try to get to our 4th land drop or our 4th mana. So When it enters the battlefield, it creates a 1/1 creature with lifelink. It's going to help us to stay in the game a little longer. It's going to have us something to kill with the Cruel Celebrant when we need to start chump blocking. And whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, it becomes a land that can tap for 3 mana to make 1/1s. It can help us really advance our board state if we need to. Chances are that's not what we're going to use it for. We're just going to use it for the fact that it's a 1 mana 1/1 with lifelink that, boom, later on will get you a land, so it's almost like mana ramp that makes a creature. It's pretty good. It has a relevant creature type, and that's what we use it for. The rest is we only run 20 lands. We almost top out a curve at 3 mana. The highest we have is a 4 mana card, which we can try to get to with Legion's Landing, and that isn't even necessary. A lot of the times you won't even need to play it to win the game. So we're only at 20 lands. Concealed Courtyard up to the third land drop. This is an untapped land. Godless Shrine, it can be an untapped land as long as you pay the 2 life. Isolated Chapel, along with the Godless Shrine and the Swamps, will come into play untapped. Sadly, because it can't be your first land drop to come in and play untapped, the white will not matter for Legion's Landing, but we are going to need the white for Cruel Celebrant, Legion Lieutenant, and Sorin and Solemn Visitor. And these cards are actually, funny enough, the most important cards in the deck, and that's why we have to be white black. And although we're basically only splashing it, then we got the swamps. That's basically wraps up this video. If you want more just bad deck techs, because I'm not gonna put a whole bunch of effort into these, they're just good to get out there for the people to see. If you want more of them, like and subscribe, and maybe leave a comment down below what kind of deck you'd like to see next. I think the next deck I'm gonna do is either mono black discard or white black discard, because we actually have we have a lot of the cards that are played in 8-rack in this format. We have Shrieking Affliction, that was from Return to Ravnica. And then we have, I think, Monastery Mentor. I think that might be it, or one of those cards. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it will start making creatures. And with that, we can start playing discard spells and make the board really large. We get to play things like Gifted Aetherborn, which will effectively act like a way to win against aggro. It will act as our ensnaring bridge because big creature decks won't even want to swing in with us because it's a removal spell on the board, basically. And it's going to allow us to have a really nice board state while also just discarding their hands. There's also the Rankle, who swings and does discard effects. There is Kalidas, which is a vampire, so we already have a couple vampires we want to play. We're going to be able to play Arterial Flow, and that's going to start having them discard cards, and we're going to gain some life. It's just going to be a really cool deck all around. If you'd like to see that, hit the subscribe button, notification button, and I will see you guys in the next video.